Today I'm going to show you the 5 common blood tests that I see doctors not ordering but should be. And the reason why this is so important is that it's impossible to know what needs to be fixed inside your body if you don't know what's wrong. So as I always say, you want to test, don't guess. Don't just assume it's a vitamin or mineral deficiency. You want to test your body and to verify that that is actually a problem. And this is a huge reason why I see a lot of people complaining and saying, I went to my doctor and they ran all these panels and they say everything is normal.
Look, I already told you. He came in here with a mild concussion, some bruised ribs, no big deal.
Well, the labs that they ordered are normal, but that doesn't mean that everything is normal. They probably missed a lot of labs that didn't pick up what is going on and what's wrong. So with that, let's dive into the 5 labs that most doctors miss that they should be ordering. Number 1 is heavy metals. And heavy metals can be things like lead, mercury, tin, cadmium. And the problem with heavy metals is that they're toxic to the body. And if you're continually getting exposed to heavy metals over time, they can be breaking your body down whether you realize it or not. And this is especially true if you have impaired detoxification capacity within your body, which again, almost nobody is testing for. So for example, one of the most common heavy metals that I see elevated in my clients is mercury. And the big problem with mercury is that it can cross the blood-brain barrier, which means it will start causing a lot of issues within your brain. So this could be things like fatigue and brain fog, tremors, insomnia, and even headaches. Now, this doesn't mean that, you should go out and get tested and then you have high heavy metals and you need to do a detox. That is typically the last thing you need to do is detox right away.
What the hell did you do to yourself?
I just want to be pure.
You first need to stop your exposure, so figure out where the heavy metal is coming from. For instance, mercury, the top 2 sources that I find is seafood, especially large seafood like tuna, swordfish, things like that. And then also amalgam fillings. So if you have any silver in your mouth, those amalgams are typically a mixture of different metals, including mercury. Then the next step is you need to nourish your body. You need to figure out if there are any nutritional or biochemical imbalances within your body, which requires proper testing, and then you need to fix those problems first. And the reason why this is so important is that those nutrients are essential for the detoxification process. So without them, your body is not going to be able to handle the biotransformation and detoxification that it needs to, and can actually lead to more damage within your body. So worsening of symptoms as opposed to feeling better. The lab number 2 is a comprehensive mineral panel. And when you go to your doctor, they'll order something called typically a BMP, a basic metabolic panel, or a CMP, a comprehensive metabolic panel, which will include sodium, potassium, and things like that. But it will not include things like magnesium, zinc, and copper, which are essential. And the problem with not ordering these labs is that minerals are a part of thousands of biochemical processes in the body. And if you have any deficiencies or excesses, either can be an issue, it can lead to symptoms and also the development of disease, because those are often the upstream factors that lead to the development of disease downstream. Now, you do need to be careful here because not all tests are created equal. So for instance, magnesium, a lot of doctors, if you do ask for magnesium, they will look at a serum magnesium, which is not very helpful at looking at your magnesium stores within the body. And the reason why is that the body wants to maintain a lot of balance within the circulation. It wants to maintain homeostasis. So it will pull nutrients from your tissues, from your bones, to maintain balance within the blood. So what's a better test would be a red blood cell magnesium as opposed to a serum magnesium. That gives us a better indication of magnesium stores within the body. So if you are looking to get these labs done, these are the specific markers and nutrients that I would be looking for when it comes to minerals. I would look at a plasma copper, red blood cell magnesium, whole blood manganese, red blood cell potassium, whole blood selenium, plasma zinc, and an ionized calcium. Lab number 3 is testosterone. And this one surprises me. I really don't understand why this is not tested more regularly, especially because I see this so commonly both in men and women. And it's not just people who are in their 50s and 60s. I see this a lot in people as they're getting in their 20s, their 30s. It can be a big problem, so it's something that you want to make sure that you're testing regularly. And some signs of having low testosterone would be things like fatigue, brain fog, depression, low libido, and even weight gain or like low muscle tone. So if you're dealing with these symptoms, it would be good to get these levels. And when I look at them, I like to look at both a total testosterone level and a free testosterone, which is the active form. And if I'm going to look at hormones like testosterone, I also want to look at other hormones as well. So this would be things like estradiol, which is your main estrogen. Look at your sex hormone binding globulin, your DHEA. And the reason why it's important to get these other hormones as well is they help us paint a more complete picture to see what could be going on. So for instance, you could have good testosterone levels, but you may be aromatizing it. You may be converting it from testosterone to estrogen too much. And that's a problem, but it's also something you need to know, because then you can start figuring out how to fix it. There are certain things that you can do, such as getting flaxseed, eating a lot of cruciferous vegetables, that will help drop and decrease that aromatization. Lab number 4 is ferritin. Ferritin is the storage form of iron, and if your ferritin is too low, it's often indicative that you're anemic. And if it's too high, it really becomes a problem as it gets higher and higher, because it will decrease your longevity. In fact, there was a great study. It was called the Copenhagen City Heart Study, and they looked at 9,000 people over the course of a few decades, and they found that as ferritin levels went above 200 and continued to increase, lifespan decreased significantly. So it was found that if ferritin was lower than 200, the median survival was 79 years old. Between 200 and 400, the median survival was 76 years old. Between 400 and 600, the median survival was 72 years old. And if you were above 600 in your ferritin levels, the median survival was 55 years old, which is significant. So you don't want your ferritin going up higher than 200 if you can control it. This is really significant, and yet when you go to your doctors, it's not common practice to get an iron panel. Some will do it, and that's a good practice, but a lot of them don't. And this is a significant risk factor as you get older. And it's hypothesized that the reason why ferritin is leading to a decreased lifespan is that it causes oxidative stress. It is causing free radical damage within the body, which can lead to the development of cardiovascular disease, strokes, heart attacks. The good news is it's fairly easy to drop that ferritin level. One blood donation will drop the ferritin level between 30 and 50 points, which is really significant. Lab test number 5 is ApoB, or apolipoprotein B. So ApoB is an advanced cardiovascular risk marker, and it is reflective of the number of LDL particles within the blood. So this can get confusing, but let's make it really simple. We want to delineate between LDL particles and LDL cholesterol. So the LDL cholesterol is a standard marker that your doctor will order through a standard cholesterol panel. You want to look at LDL cholesterol as like the number of passengers on a ship, and you want to look at LDL particle number, or ApoB, as the number of ships. This is an important distinction because it's the number of ships within your blood vessels that when they get damaged, that's what causes atherosclerosis, the hardening and the narrowing of your blood vessels that leads to strokes and heart attacks and things like that. And we want to contrast this to the LDL cholesterol number, which again is the passengers on the ship. And it's the passengers that we're not really concerned with, it's the number of ships. So that is why the ApoB number is a much better marker for stratifying your risk for heart disease than the LDL cholesterol. And it's important to reiterate that it's not the number of ships that cause heart disease, it's the number of damaged ships. And that comes from free radical damage, which is a fancy way of saying some sort of inflammatory process. So we will cover this in another video where I'll explain the different causes of inflammation in the body. Inflammation just doesn't happen by itself. There are specific causes to it. So it's important to understand what those things are and to mitigate those exposures and those causes, because that will decrease your risk even if you have elevated ApoB numbers. And that's it for this video. So if you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share with somebody who you think would benefit from it.